Hello, I'm Basil, and I've been feeling really down on myself, which is why I haven't been able to produce any videos, because every time that I've started writing a script and I have a lot of pages done, I've just not been able to complete it because of self-doubt or just, this overwhelming feeling of worthlessness. And I'm tired of it. I'm really, really tired of feeling the way that I'm feeling because, it's just not a good way to live. So I figured I would start doing small stuff, hopefully get my mental to a better state by doing stuff that are generally good for a person to do. And I'm gonna start with one of the most basic things that people do, which is cleaning my apartment. As you may have been able to tell from the absolute mess that's behind me, I've been living in filth. And that's... You're not gonna get better by living in filth. That's about it.
This video is obviously a bit weird for me to make. Not only because it's a type of video that I rarely see on YouTube, but also because it's a video where I talk about my emotions and thoughts that I generally keep hidden behind layers of self-deprecating jokes and general awkwardness, so I don't rock the boat during my day-to-day life. But there are a couple of reasons why I still went ahead with this. Obviously, the pathetic state of my apartment was one of them, but I also generally don't do things that are good for me in the long run because I just don't see myself being worth the effort. So to motivate myself, I decided to make a video out of it. In the best case scenario, people out there that feel similarly could find some solace in the fact that they aren't the only ones. And worst case scenario, I'd make some positive changes in my life and get some shade thrown at me in the comments. I figure it's pretty important for me to define what I mean when I say the word worthless and how this mindset impacts my life. The core of my feelings come down to not seeing any value that I bring to anybody's life. And when I try to think about what qualities I have as a person, I don't see anything that stands out as positive. I'm not funny, charismatic, confident, smart, or kind. I try to be, but I feel like I hit a wall that stops me from actually being any of that. At best, I'd compare myself to a glass of lukewarm water. I can be decent enough to be acceptable, but cold water will always be the superior drink. This has led me to believe that I'm just not worth it for others to spend their time on. I don't really get in touch with people as it just feels selfish to take someone else's time when they could be using that time for essentially anything else. I stay away from social gatherings because I either sit quietly and end up with a bunch of anxiety because I've messed up socially again, or I take some space and end up regretting it because I'd be taking that space from someone better. It's gotten to the point where I leave my apartment for one of three reasons. I either go out to buy groceries and try to go late so that I have the lowest chance of inconveniencing somebody else, or I go to play board games. Shocker, right? After everything I've said, I go out to play board games once a week. But the only reason why I'm able to do that is because many games require a certain amount of people to play, and I wouldn't want to be the reason why some games aren't on the table. I do enjoy playing and spending time with others, but because of the worthlessness, I can't help but worry that they would be better off with somebody else taking that seat. Last one is, of course, work. Luckily, I'm not in a position where I feel bad about going to work because I've always been able to justify coworkers having to deal with me because they are partially getting paid to do it. This doesn't stop me from spending the majority of the evenings worrying about every interaction that I've had and in what ways I might have made my coworkers' days worse. But hey, at least I managed to go to work and fulfill my responsibilities. With all of these thoughts floating around, it might seem like my life is just pure misery. That's true for everything internal, but I find myself to be an extremely lucky person as far as my environment and the people in my life goes. To a certain degree, that makes me feel even more pathetic because I don't stack up to the people around me. But on the flip side, I wouldn't want to imagine what my life would have been like if I wasn't that lucky. Worst case would obviously be to be surrounded by people that take advantage of me. But being alone is quite something as well. And being alone is a real fear that I have for my future. With my current mental state, I've become difficult for people to get in touch with. And I've already explained how I avoid social gatherings, so the natural follow-up for me if things were to continue like this is to be completely alone. This is a bit of a catch-22, because I don't want to be alone since I can't stand myself, and I don't want to be a burden on others, so I pull myself away. Which brings me to the conclusion and the real reason why I'm starting to do things that will be good for me. I figured I need to get myself to a place where being alone wouldn't be the end of the world. Sure, having others in your life is preferable for most people, but if I can't be alone, then I can't see myself as anything else but an emotional burden on the ones closest to me. So it's been a couple of weeks between cleaning and recording the voiceover, partially because I've been doubting whether this is even a good thing to put out into the world, especially since people close to me know about my channel. And I don't want anybody to worry about me because I'm going to be fine, one way or the other. But also because it's such a big departure from how I've been living my life lately. But I've decided to go ahead with it, since I haven't been able to motivate myself to do more of what I would call big challenges like this since. This does open up the opportunity for me to include this final section of how it's affected me. First of all, I think it's really important to not expect life-changing effects from one thing, but rather hoping that enough of the small changes have a positive effect. Me cleaning my apartment did make me feel a bit of pride during the day that I finished. The thing that has really stood out is that getting my apartment to this state has allowed me to form some healthier habits. I've obviously been to the barber for the first time since COVID started, and nowadays I clean as I go instead of letting things pile up. It seemed worthless before because it kind of was, but being in a decent spot and maintaining that by taking a minute to clean up after eating has been giving me a microdosage of the positive feeling that I got from the big clean of 2022. I've also been letting sunlight into the apartment since I wouldn't feel ashamed if somebody was to see in through the windows. And then there's the unexpected twist of my apartment feeling too empty for me all of a sudden. So I've gotten some more plants to fill out some space. I'll see how long they manage to live since I wouldn't describe myself as having green thumbs. I still feel worthless though, since I've gone from living in a junkyard to what I believe is below average. So no miracles here, but I'm still happy about what I've done and I hope that I can keep it going. Lastly, I would like to say that if you're watching this video and feel similarly, then take care of yourself. And hopefully we can all work on ourselves and get to a better mental state. For anybody that has subscribed to me in the past for gaming related videos, you should know that I won't be making those as I'm not mentally there to do it. So feel free to unsubscribe if this thing isn't your cup of tea. No hard feelings and sorry for not posting. If you want to comment, remember to stay classy, take care of yourselves, and have a great day.